What are chargebacks for those who are new to insurance sales? Well, it may surprise you to learn that when you make an insurance sale and a client lapses, that money you made ain't yours, at least not all of it. You see, when you make a sale in the insurance space, specifically final expense is kind of my reference points here, but it's true no matter what it is you're selling. You are fronted money. You're advanced is the industry term for it. Put it in a simpler way, you get a loan for what is expected, keyword expected, to be collected. You get that up front in the form of an advance commission payment. You get it in advance of, in lieu of, the client actually paying on the premiums. So typically, when you sell a life insurance plan, depends on health products, some advance, some don't, you get 75% of the total commission you're going to get for the year up front. So if you're owed $1,000 on a case that you write with final expense or life insurance, most carriers are going to front you in advance of $750. So that's 75%. Sometimes it's 9 months. It's referred to 9 out of 12 months is 75%. Same thing. Okay. That assumes that you keep that money as long as that client continues to pay. But guess what Mildred does every once in a while? You know, she blows all her money on smokes and booze. She forgets that her policy needs to be paid on auto draft. And then when we go in and collect the money, there's none to be had. And our clients go into a grace period to catch it up. And a lot of times, you know, sometimes we can save them, sometimes we can't. But if the policy ends up lapsing, we now have a situation, and this is where chargebacks are problematic, where we as the agent owe back some prorated portion of the commission based on when the lapse occurred. So for example, with most companies, you owe back what you didn't earn as far as commission goes. So for example, Mildred paid 3 payments in before, missing a payment and then lapsing. We keep 3 months of that commission, but because 6 of the 9 months weren't collected, we now have to owe that money back. Now, in most cases, most carriers don't make you pay it immediately. They make you pay it over time. They give you some wiggle room. They'll even go so far as to let you write another piece of business to cover that amount. So it's not like you immediately are in collections, right? And you know what hits the fan. But you're in a position where if you write enough business that doesn't stick, you know, what you may owe $500 or $600 from one case, but that morphs into 5 or 10, you're thousands of dollars up the creek without a paddle. And it's your responsibility now to pay that off and get back to zero. Some of you out there watching that probably have never heard of this. And it's intentional. Maybe I'm, blowing the wind out of your sails or something. I don't know. But most agencies don't like to talk about chargebacks because it's scary, right? If you write a bunch of bad business, it's now back to you. But it's a part of the business that is real, that every agent deals with, and you need to know about it, the risks associated with it, and what I would call not eliminate it. It's impossible to eliminate it because it's impossible for everybody to know with certainty that they're going to do something, right? People just change their minds sometimes. But you need to mitigate it. You can lower it. There's some things you can intentionally do to do that. What I am charged to do with you today is to teach you those 3 methodologies, because what chargebacks will do if you don't pay them is that you end up in collections, you end up getting a credit report, you end up having collectors come out of you. And most important, I think, is that all the other carriers that are out there get notified when you owe money with chargebacks that you don't pay back. You're now put on this list called the vector. And the vector is like it's like a central reporting database that reports to all of the carriers, sometimes even agencies, when an agent owes money they have not paid and now has been reported. And what that does is it removes, in many cases, your advanced commissions from being had with one carrier, even carriers that you don't have debt with, because what they're going to see is, oh, that person owes a lot of money. We don't want to advance some commission. They're not credit worthy or advance worthy because they're not keeping up with this. So you need to stay on top of this. You need to be aware of this. You need to be prepared to overcome it. And I'm going to give you some strategies to do that. Now, the first thing I'll address here, I kind of sense this in talking to you guys, is why even have advances, David? If we're saying advances are problematic and could cause debt, and elimination in the business and all sorts of financial troubles, why should I even carry advances? And that's a great question to start off with. But if you think through the logical sequence, the problem with most business models is cash flow. Most businesses, in fact, fail because of a lack of money on hand to pay bills and manage expenses, especially during leaner times. So cash is king. I would say cash flow is king. And advancing facilitates cash flow. You see, if you only get paid every time the client pays monthly, you're getting paid 1/12 of the income instead of 75%. You're getting paid, what, 8% of the income instead of that, roughly, maybe somewhere in there. Yeah. So there's a big cash flow difference between 8% of your commission up front versus 75%. And while there is a financing risk, with the 8% risk, you now have other problems in your business like cash flow problems. You're probably not going to be able to afford leads after a while getting paid 8% of your commission monthly versus a 75 upfront amount with a financing risk. So the idea of not getting advancing to begin with, to me, is something I don't endorse, because you're trading one set of problems which are manageable with another set of problems that are almost entirely unmanageable. Because where are you going to get your money to buy leads? Most of us, I know in my position, I had 4 credit cards maxed out. I had 1 credit card left to buy leads, and it was like a $4,000 line. That was it. I didn't have any more leads after that or money to buy leads. So I needed to have cash flow capability and have it advance. So hopefully you see where I'm coming from. Okay. So chargebacks are real. They're going to happen. You can't put your head in the sand and pretend they're not a problem.